Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. First things first, I just want to say this is indeed a legend push video, but the caveat is that this is not my team. I want to give a massive shout out to HomeSliceHenry for not only putting out this team, but I asked him in the DM. I slid in his DMs, and I was like, hey dude, I'm gonna go hit legend with your team. Is it cool if I make a video on this? And he was like, yes, absolutely. So massive shout outs to HomeSliceHenry for that. All that being said though, this team with Poniard, Mandibus, and Cresselia I really enjoyed running because it brought dynamic gameplay to what a lot of people would consider an RPS meta in the Willpower Cup. All that being said though, I won't keep you guys too much longer. Let's hop into game number one. We're going to be kicking things off with game number one, leading Poniard into Shadow Gardevoir. This is indeed a menace of a Pokemon. What I'm going to look to do here is build up a bunch of energy and take a bunch of charms, but they switch out. They bring in the Qwilfish, and from this range, my Poniard can easily tank an Aqua Tail, so I'm going to get to the back-to-back X-Scissors, and back-to-back X-Scissors will threaten this Qwilfish if they do not shield. So I am going to land one X-Scissor, build up to just before their next Aqua Tail, and fire off another X-Scissor, forcing a decision from this Qwilfish. Qwilfish looking to get the farm down, but that was much too greedy. I'm a Steel type, double resisting the poison, get to a Night Slash, and they are going to shield up what could have only been a Night Slash. I'm going to bring in my Cresselia because the Qwilfish in this cup do not run Dark Pulse or Shadow Ball. If you see Hisuian Qwilfish in this cup, you can reliably assume they are on both Aqua Tail and Ice Beam unless they're running a surprise nuke, but usually they're not. They are going to fire off Ice Beam after Ice Beam. This is only going to be an Aqua Tail, and unfortunately I am going to shield it up because I would be in danger of potentially getting charmed all the way down if I decided to no shield that Aqua Tail. What I am going to do, is zero bubble that Grass Knot. They're going to bring in their Claydol, and Claydol does have a move generally to fight back against the Mandibuzz here. But as Mandibuzz, all I have to do is farm up a bunch of energy here, fire off one Dark Pulse, and two Ice Beams is not going to be enough to KO. But even if they were, hypothetically, we could just shield up the second, massively over farm, and leave with energy for that Shadow Gardevoir that they have. So this is looking pretty decent for us. We're going to shield up this second Ice Beam, and now Gardevoir has a tall task ahead of it. We are going to get the full farm down of this Claydol. That is a Scorching Sands. That is short. They are one short of the Ice Beam here. Very confidently am I going to call that, and I was correct. I'm going to fire off this Dark Pulse. In comes the Gardevoir, but Gardevoir not going to like the Dark Pulse damage. Dark Pulse, massive damage. They try to catch the second move straight away onto the Hisuian Qwilfish, but it's only going to get farmed down, and down goes the Gardevoir to another Dark Pulse. GG's. In the next match, it's going to be Poniard leading into Guzzlord. This is a very interesting lead. Poniard has a strict advantage in that matchup. They're going to bring in a Shadow Drapion as their safe switch, and I believe I accidentally play into a CMP tie. Poniard does convincingly win that CMP tie, but I would have much rather fired off that energy and attempted to go for a catch and sneak with my Mandibuzz, which would be my Drapion answer. I am going to get the catch and sneak anyway with my Mandibuzz. Unfortunately, I did have to take an Aqua Tail there, which does still do about 50% to Poniard. Word to the wise, if you're trying to use Poniard, bear in mind I have one of the highest ranked possible Poniards, although its CP is very scuffed. I have a 115-15 fully maxed out level 50 Poniard, and these two Aqua Tails do still do a significant amount of damage, despite it being a very low base power move. I'm going to look to throw a move with my Mandibuzz, and honestly I should have thrown this sooner, so as to avoid this CMP tie and taking this unnecessary damage, because after this move is thrown, I can pivot back out into my Poniard, and that's exactly what I'm looking to do. Poniard with energy is a menace in this cup. We are going to go for a very aggressive farm down of this Guzzlord. Now Guzzlord has a lot of HP, but these Fury Cutters are hitting for super effective damage. They're not going to be able to make another move. Poniard farms all the way down, leaving with 100 energy, and Drapion, you can shield one, but you cannot shield two X-Scissors. X-Scissor number one gonna take out the Drapion, and they're going to bring in a Claydol in the back, and this team is very well prepared for Claydol. One Mud Slap takes out my Poniard. but that's perfectly fine. Just gonna bring in the Mandibuzz here, and I can force them to throw their energy so that they avoid taking this Dark Pulse. Honestly, I can shield, I can no shield. I do not have a lose con in this matchup because Cresselia will easily be able to make 2 or even 3 Grass Knots here. But we're just going to go straight Grass Knot here after 7 for good timing. Grass Knot number 1 is going to grab the shield there, maybe hoping for a Scorching Sands debuff con, but even that will not save this Claydol. Claydol fires off the Scorching Sands, and they do not get the debuff. We fire off 1 Psycho Cut and the Grass Knot, and this will be enough to KO the Claydol. GG's to this trainer. In the next game, it's going to be Ponyard leading into a Greninja. Now, this is a very scary Pokemon. Greninja has a whole lot of neutral play into my entire team, but this is technically where I need to see it. I'm not brave enough to call their bait here, so I am going to shield, and it is a Hydro Cannon. Shielding up the Hydro Cannon there is very nice for us. They're going to switch into their Quillfish, but this is fine. I don't have to switch here, and even if I do, I just get to keep desirable alignment because they decided to pivot out here. I'm going to fire off a second X-Scissor. This will pick up the KO on the Quillfish if they decide not to shield. I'm going to pivot out into my Cresselia, and the reason being is because the most damage they can do to us is with an Ice Beam. Ice Beam is not very threatening to the Cresselia. As you can see, we can easily tank 2 of those, maybe even 3. My eyesight's not what it used to be, but I think we can easily tank 3 of those. They're going to fire off an Aqua Tail, and now Cresselia is just going to go for 100 energy. I'm getting really greedy with the Grass Knot here, but that's perfectly fine. I just throw the Grass Knot. They're not quite KO'd by it. This could very well be a Night Slash, and I need this last shield from this Greninja. They're going to fire off the Night Slash. I'm going to throw 1 and the Grass Knot, and now, if they don't shield this, of course, the Greninja will get blasted into a different dimension, and they decide to let their Greninja get blasted into a different dimension. Nevertheless, what is it they decide to bring in? It is going to be a Galarian Rapidash. However, Galarian Rapidash could very well be threatening for my backline. I'm going to bring in the Ponyard, fire off a move immediately. And the reason being is because I get to figure out their moveset here. They cannot KO me with a Body Slam. They might be able to try, but they can't. So I get to see if they're on Wild Charge or Mega Horn here, and that's big information because now I can safely bring in my Mandibuzz because they are not on Wild Charge. Wild Charge, if they got the back-to-back, would easily KO with 2 Wild Charges onto my Mandibuzz, so I couldn't risk that. But they're on Mega Horn, so my Mandibuzz is going to get the farm down. The trainer concedes the match, and now we're going to see. We were actually 3-2 on this set at 2982 Elo, I believe. We're going to catch this Cranidos, and we're going to see, is that enough? No, we get 2999. The screenshot for the boys. I cannot believe that. Niantic evidently saying that we are not going to get Legend Rank that easy. A 3-2 at 2982 is not going to cut it. They're going to give me exactly 17 Elo, and now we're going to have to fight back. This is a very nice lead, though. It's Ponyard leading into the Galarian Moltres, and I honestly feel like this Galarian Moltres is in such a tough matchup. They're going to try to bait me, and I successfully called the bait. If I got Brave Birded there, I'm pretty sure I just die. Like, on the spot, I just die. But fortunately, I called it correctly. I have an X-Scissor, landed onto the Drapion, throw 1, switch, catch onto the Mandibuzz, and get the Air Slash Sneak. We are cooking. You can tell by the gameplay here that I am in the zone. I am locked in, looking for that Legend Rank, and now Drapion is going to be able to fire off Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail, but that is not going to do enough damage onto the Mandibuzz. These Aqua Tails do add up slowly but surely, but they aren't going to be able to make enough of them before getting farmed down. And now this Drapion is in 3 Air Slash range. If they do not get the damage registration error, which they do not, we are going to be able to make a farm down of the Drapion, leaving with nearly 100 energy for the Galarian Moltres, and now we're looking for the farm down of the Galarian Moltres as well. They throw their energy on alignment, but a Mandibuzz with 100 energy near enough is very scary for whatever this cup has to offer, and it's going to be a Claydol in the back. Claydol is absolutely generally not favored in this matchup already, but definitely not when Mandibuzz has 100 energy. They're going to expend both of their shields on our Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz looking to make another Dark Pulse, gonna have to settle for an Aerial Ace here. However, an Aerial Ace will be some quality chip damage that we do need to land on this Claydol. I'm gonna bring in the Ponyard. You may think this is a bad idea. I reached for the X-Scissor. All I needed there was the Night Slash to put it in Grass Knot range. This Claydol is actually a surprise Claydol running Shadow Ball. I actually call here that they're going to go for a Scorching Stance to try to lower my attack stat, and they do lower my attack stat, but that's perfectly fine. Cresselia here is just quickly outpacing this Claydol, and Claydol is not going to be able to make enough moves here. We're going to be able to make the Grass Knot here. It's a CMP tie, I believe so, or they may have outpaced by a turn, but nevertheless Claydol is not at 2 moves. We are going to undertap the Grass Knot, and the Grass Knot is going to land and KO the Claydol. GG's to this trainer. In the next game, it's going to be Pawniard into Hisuian Quillfish once again. This is a very nice lead. However, this was a massive, nearly 50-point down pair. So if ever there were a game that was necessary for us to win in this set 2 Legend at $29.99, it is definitely this one. They're going to chip me with an Aqua Tail and then switch into their Mandibuzz, which is also not a good matchup versus the Pawniard. We are going to fire off an X-Scissor at the Mandibuzz, and we have another one loaded, so we're just going to fire that one off too. Looking to bank a little bit of energy here and then switch into our own Mandibuzz. We do get the catch and the sneak. We are able to get our Air Slash through. They go for the Aerial Ace. I was really hoping to catch the Dark Pulse there. Unfortunately, no luck. Now I just want you guys to know, as my viewers, I love and respect your time, but this is absolutely a waste of it. I don't even blame you if you try to click forward on this matchup. It is so boring, the Mandy versus Mandy Mirror, but at least we're both on Air Slash, right? And we're at least chipping away with our fast moves. They're going to bank all of that Mandy energy and store it for later. They're going to switch into an Alolan Raticate. I'm going to fire off an Aerial Ace, switch into my Pawniard. Pawniard would resist everything here, but my Pawniard is also very low. If I no shield a Crunch here and I get debuffed, or I don't get debuffed, I'm actually going to be in range where I would get Quick Attack down. So my Pawniard is going to start throwing these Night Slashes off one at a time. Night Slash number 1 is going to grab a shield from the Raticate. I'm going to build up to an X-Scissor, bait with another Night Slash, and I am able to get both shields from this Raticate. At this point, I do not need my Pawniard. This is going to be the Crunch. The Crunch is going to nearly get the KO on my Pawniard. They tried to undercharge it there, and fortunately for me, that does mean that I get to land one boosted Fury Cutter on the Raticate, and all chip damage is very important because our last Pokemon here is going to be a Cresselia, throwing double resisted Psycho Cuts here, but we've done more than enough chip with the rest of our Pokemon on our team that now we can come in for the Psycho Cut farm down with our Cresselia here. We have to be very careful to watch for a potential catch here. They're going to bring in the Mandibuzz, and I am certain this is shy of a Dark Pulse, but you see I am going to shield it regardless because these Quillfish in this cup do not run Dark Pulse or Shadow Ball, and I am so certain of that fact that I was certain my LoseCon was actually no shielding a Mandy Dark Pulse as opposed to potentially no shielding a big move from the Quillfish. So that was my rationale there. We're able to get that win, and we're on to the next game. Pawniard into Mandibuzz is a very nice lead, almost as good as a lead can get. We are going to bank an X-Scissor here, fire off the X-Scissor just before the Mandibuzz is able to get their move. This Mandibuzz is going to no-shield the X-Scissor. X-Scissor is going to do some sizable chip onto the very bulky Mandibuzz, and of course Pawniard resists all of this energy, so we can easily no-shield. We're going to build up a couple more Fury Cutters and another X-Scissor just before they're able to get their move once again. And this is perfectly fine. X-Scissor number 2 is going to do some sizable chip once again to the Mandibuzz. Deja vu, I said that already. They're going to fire off a Dark Pulse here, but our Pawniard is low, but not quite low enough. They're going to bring in their Gardevoir, and here you're going to see an interesting play. The Gardevoir is going to get brought in. They're going to drop a shield, but now we just bring in Cresselia and fire off the big move. Here, if they no-shield this, Cresselia just gets the farm down. Look at the damage of that move. And now, do we shield this up? Yes, we are going to shield this move up. Although they have the Mandibuzz with energy, I do believe that this is just going to be a Claydol in the back, and I want to preserve my Cresselia if at all possible. They're going to bring in the Mandibuzz. I'm firing off a Grass Knot bait. And honestly, from here, we can just pivot into our Pawniard. If our switch comes up, it's going to be Mandibuzz Double Charm. Oh my goodness, it's a Hatterene in the back. And a lot of people don't even know that this Pokemon exists. It's very glassy. It's another one of these Psychic Fairy type Charmers, and I am confident here this cannot be more than a Psy Shock. A Psy Shock will not be doing very much damage to the Mandibuzz. They may have wanted to grab my last shield there, but I'm not using it there. The Dark Pulse actually does not KO the Hatterene. They live on 1 HP. IVs don't matter until they do. This trainer hanging their head in shame for running Mandy Double Charm, and they are going to concede the match. GG's. I started the commentary so late on this game. You guys may have already seen before I did that this Drapion is on Ice Fang. However, Drapion's pacing when it's on Ice Fang is terrible. This is also a non-Shadow Drapion, so although from a Shadow Drapion I may be tempted to shield that Aqua Tail, I don't have to shield that there. They are going to get me into the red health here though if they do decide to commit a shield on this Drapion, and X-Scissor has landed already. They are going to shield up the Drapion, and now they have another Aqua Tail here. Am I content with just letting this go? No, I'm going to shield up my Poniard, and am I looking for a farm down here? No, I think we're going to get it into Night Slash range, not trusting that we are going to get that farm down. They may have just possibly made that Aqua Tail, and I don't want to risk it. We are going to fire off one Fury Cutter and a Night Slash. Making this Night Slash is huge because it's going to be a Gardevoir, and Gardevoir comes in, no shields the Night Slash, and here you're going to see another interesting play. I bring in the Mandibuzz because Mandibuzz is just going to farm this down before they're able to make a move. And now, what is that Pokemon in the back? It's going to be their own Mandibuzz. But a Mandibuzz is not going to be able to beat my backline. I'm going to bring in my Cresselia after firing off an Aerial Ace here because I wanted this to be into Moonblast range. The Mandibuzz can comfortably eat 2 Moonblasts. It is disgustingly bulky. And this is a matchup of 2 very bulky Pokemon in general. So we're going to fire off Moonblast number 1. I have no lose con except for baiting here because Cresselia is inevitably going to outpace the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz takes 18 turns to get to Dark Pulse. It's straight 6 with a 3-turn move, so it's 18 turns per Dark Pulse. They're going to try to Aerial Ace, but that's not going to allow them to outpace. We fire off the Moonblast. It's on alignment, but provided I don't bait there, I am perfectly fine with just going straight Moonblast and taking that game. GG's. We've reached the final game of the video, and it's going to be Poniard leading into Shadow Gardevoir. Now, this Pokemon makes running this team a little awkward, especially if it's on the lead. If they safe switch it or something like that, you can easily just stick your Cresselia on the Gardevoir, and it's just GG's. Like, Cresselia just outbulks, outpaces, and will be able to inevitably withstand the Charms and Triple Axle pressure to end up winning that matchup. However, if it's on the lead, Poniard does get torn up by Charms, and you can make 2 Night Slashes if you have a good enough Poniard, but you'll just end up grabbing both of their shields and they'll just keep alignment for themselves. Nevertheless, this is going to be a Shadow Gardevoir lead with the Mandibuzz safe switch, so it is almost assuredly going to be a Claydol and back if you see that particular line. Shadow Gardevoir lead, Mandibuzz safe switch is a very common team. They are going to see me pivot back out into my Poniard, and they're going to bring in their Claydol. However, Claydol will take a lot of damage from Night Slashes and Fury Cutters here. They're going to fire off a move immediately. I only have 1 shield remaining though, so I am just going to sacrifice Poniard here. Down goes Poniard to the Scorching Sands. If I played this matchup a lot better, I probably could have just won this game, but I suppose you live and you learn. I'm going to bring in the Mandibuzz, shield up no shield 1 Ice Beam, and basically try to go for the same play we did a few matches ago, but unfortunately Ice Beam paces 6, then 5, as Mud Slap generates 5 energy per turn, and Ice Beam costs 55 energy, so it's on 6-5 pacing. They're able to make that 5-cycle Ice Beam, and I'm gonna have to go down a shield there. They're gonna bring back in the Gardevoir. Gardevoir is at full health. I'm gonna fire off the Dark Pulse. They no shield the Dark Pulse, and now I, for some reason, Aerial Ace bait. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe to have a little bit of residual energy if they let it go into the Mandibuzz, but they're just never letting that move go. They predict my my play there of going for the combo. They bring in their Mandibuzz, and this trainer just cooked me at the end game here. They're going to fire off the foul play here. There's no way we can win this game. We top left the match, and good luck on the climb to this trainer. We are going to be able to claim this set here. It's going to be another Morpeko. Fortunately, this Pokemon, if you do want one, is very common from the win rewards, but you're going to see we hit 30, 34 elo, claiming legend rank, getting a whole bunch of screenshots for the boys, and we've made it. GG's. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And of course, special shout out to HomeSliceHenry for making today's video possible. I struggled a lot to try to team build in the Willpower Cup myself, hence me stealing somebody else's team. But I wanted to say this team is still very solid, and I was able to hit Legend Ranked today with it. And I was actually on a steady climb with the team. So if you guys have been looking for a good team, I know Poniard, especially an XL Poniard, is not the most accessible pick to everybody. It is one that you can get, but mine is also particularly good. And IVs do kind of matter with Poniard. Being able to tank 2 Aquatails for something like a Quillfish, for instance, or a Drapion. And just having that extra bulk is very nice. But once again, with all that being said, this has been Shmeaty. Thanks again so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.